The Pineys, Athlete of the Year, presented by NC by Train.
Welcome back to the North Carolina Sports Awards, the Pineys, brought to you by our friends at NC Pork. I'm Mike Waddell, and I'm joined as always by our lead analyst and longtime friend of North Carolina sports, David Glenn. And DG, this Athlete of the Year category is absolutely stacked.
Yeah, Mike, no doubt about it. This year's nominees represent the absolute best in sports, not just in North Carolina, but also on national and even international stages, from NASCAR and the PGA Tour to the NFL, NHL, MLS, NWSL, and of course the college ranks. These stars have truly shone.
Let's hit the starting grid, David, and we'll start with a home state hero, William Byron, NASCAR star and Charlotte native, back-to-back Daytona 500 wins, and that is a rarity in NASCAR.
Extremely rare, Mike. William Byron just became the fifth driver ever to win the Daytona 500 in consecutive years. And that's Daytona, remember, the Super Bowl of NASCAR. And for a young man who once raced on a simulator in his childhood bedroom to become a dominant force on the track, that's just a North Carolina success story through and through.
We go from racing to golf, and next up, Ben Griffin on the PGA Tour. He's gone from journeyman to breakout star. 2 wins this season and a spot in the top 10 on the money list. Tell us about Ben Griffin's climb, DG.
Yeah, his story is phenomenal. He was a superstar at East Chapel Hill High School and then again at the University of North Carolina in Chapel Hill. But just a few years ago, Mike, he was out of professional golf almost entirely and working as a mortgage loan officer. So now he's a multi-time winner on the PGA Tour, as you mentioned, and he's one of the best young American golfers on the planet in the top 10 on this year's money list here in 2025. It is just a stunning story of Tar Heel grit and perseverance.
Hey, you talk about grit, you have to mention the massively talented running back Omarion Hampton, a bulldozing runner for the Tar Heels football team, All-American, first-round draft pick. What did he mean to Mack Brown's final edition of the Tar Heels last fall?
Just about everything. He was their best player. He was the heartbeat of that Carolina offense. He rushed for more than 1,600 yards, dominated in the red zone, and was a leader in the locker room too. And then he became UNC's first running back drafted in the first round in 40 years. Wow. Omarion Hampton, a big-time talent who actually also played his high school ball here in North Carolina as well at Cleveland High in Clayton.
We go from the college gridiron to the National Football League, and J.C. Horn made the Pro Bowl for the Panthers. David, how big was that for him? And this franchise that is just looking for some daylight out there, and Horn certainly provided it last fall.
Yeah, it was basically a step in the right direction, right? J.C. Horn had some injury setbacks early in his career, but in 2024, he finally put it all together. Lockdown corner, physical, smart. He and the defensive tackle, Derek Brown, were 2 of the few bright spots for the Carolina Panthers in what we all remember as a very tough 2024 season. They could be the cornerstones as the franchise attempts to ascend the NFL ladder this fall.
Let's roll back to Chapel Hill and Chloe Humphrey, a freshman phenom for UNC women's lacrosse, the National Player of the Year, a national champion, an NCAA tournament MVP. That's a lot for anybody, but especially a freshman.
Yeah, and well-deserved. Chloe Humphrey was electric last season for anyone who didn't see her play. And she was coming off a redshirt injury campaign, which makes it even more amazing. She played with maturity beyond her years, scoring goals in bunches, setting up teammates, and leading the Tar Heels to yet another national title in that sport. She was the first freshman ever to win the National Player of the Year honor in women's lacrosse, and that certainly qualifies her, in my eyes, as the future of that sport at the college level.
On the soccer pitch, two of our in-state pros earned national honors last season. Let's start with Christian Conlina, the Charlotte FC goalkeeper who was named 2024 Goalkeeper of the Year in MLS.
Yeah, Kalina, who is from Croatia, was just a wall back there last season. He led Major League Soccer in saves and in, as the soccer folks like to say, clean sheets. And he was named to the league's best 11, which is especially hard to do in a league that has 30 teams now. He was one of the main reasons that Charlotte FC reached the playoffs last season, and he just brought a wave of soccer excitement to the Carolinas with his play.
Then there's Kaylee Kurtz, a defensive force for the North Carolina Courage, who play their games in Cary. The best 11 in the NWSL. What stood out about her campaign?
Consistency and class are two things that come right to mind. Kaylee played almost every minute of every game last season. She anchored the Courage's back line, and she continues to be, here in 2025, one of the most respected defenders in all of women's soccer. She is an absolute pillar of that franchise and one of its leaders on and off the pitch.
Hockey fans, we did not forget about you. And Jacob Slavin of the Carolina Hurricanes had a massive season on the ice. Top NHL recognition at the Four Nations event, one of my favorite events of the years, and the deep playoff run by the Canes. How does he stack up?
Jacob Slavin is just a coach's dream, Mike. Smooth and powerful skater, great vision, huge wingspan when you count the extension of his stick, high hockey IQ, low maintenance personality, and one of the most respected defensive players in the entire National Hockey League. He played a key role in the Canes reaching the Stanley Cup semifinals, and he was also brilliant on that international Four Nations stage for Team USA. The guy is just a true pro in every sense of that phrase.
DG, it's time now to announce the winner of this incredible category in the Pineys. The 2025 North Carolina Sports Awards Athlete of the Year is Cooper Flagg of Duke University men's basketball.
As we were counting the votes this year in our 2024-25 North Carolina Athlete of the Year voting, we realized our mid-July awards show was going to be a tricky fit for this year's winner. In the last year or so, Cooper Flagg went from being named the high school basketball player of the year to, during his single season at Duke University, becoming just the fourth freshman ever to win the college basketball player of the year honor. Flagg led the Blue Devils in almost every major statistical category as they went 35-4, won the ACC title, and advanced to the Final Four. In late June, of course, Flagg also became the number 1 overall pick in the NBA draft. And as we speak, he is playing in the NBA Summer League for his new team, the Dallas Mavericks. Joining us now as a special guest on this year's edition of the Piney Awards is the man who helped recruit Cooper Flagg to Duke and served as his positional coach this past season, Chris Carrawell, who was the ACC Player of the Year himself for the Blue Devils back in the year 2000. He's been the associate head coach of the Devils for these past 4 seasons, first under Mike Krzyzewski and these last 3 years under John Shire. Coach Carrawell, welcome to the North Carolina Sports Network. How are you?
I'm fine. Thanks for having me, guys. Thanks for having me.
It's great to have you. Hey, when the NBA scouts asked you about this massive investment they were about to make in this year's draft picks, what they would be getting in Cooper Flagg, what sorts of things did you tell them?
Some guys have it. Some guys have it, Dave. Like, just what is it? Like, is it how high he jumps, how fast he is, his IQ? And he has all those things, but it's just some kids that come around every once in a while. They just have it. They just have it. He has all the intangibles. He was a great teammate, which, I didn't expect that, to be honest with you. I didn't expect him to be such a great, humble teammate. I mean, he's the guy at the party. He's with the cool guys. The guys who are not so cool, he's hanging with them, and he brings them all together. So I said, the impact that he has is beyond basketball. He just impacts a team. And the reason why our team was so close this year, I mean, we had a great team record-wise, but those guys, I mean, it was like old school college where you got guys that hang out, They hung out at parties. They hung out in the training room after practice. And he was a big part of that. Huge reason why.
What do you remember most about the first time you saw Cooper play basketball, either on video or in person?
I saw him when he was 15. I want to say we were in Augusta. He was 15 years old, so he wasn't even in the main gym yet. And it was like this kid, he's from Maine, and he's running and jumping and dunking like he's 20 years old. And so you're like, okay, but he's 15, playing against other 15-year-old olders. He's advanced. He's good. Well, let's keep an eye on him.
Yeah.
And then you saw his skill. He was so coordinated. I think a big thing with young guys who are that tall and able to move that way, it gives them an advantage. So he was really smooth at that age. And then you start like, okay, start watching him. Then you come back and see him at 16. It's like, are you kidding me? This guy has the goods. And he just, every time you saw him, that he got better. He was better. And he had the wow factor. He had the wow factor, whether it was making a incredible block, getting a incredible rebound, a incredible pass. He had all those things that like, wow. I would say that the thing I love most about him, and in the recruiting, I told in Maine, he has a big support staff. Like everybody in Maine loves Cooper Flagg, and he got So we talked about it. It was in Atlanta. He made a block, or he got undercut, and he may have broke his nose, but he wore a mask, right? I mean, he wore a mask, and anybody else, it was a scary fall. And anybody else, I mean, at this point, he was already the number 1 and 2 player in the country. I'm like, he's gonna miss the rest of the tournament. He's not gonna play the rest of the weekend. He put the mask on. He didn't miss any time.
Wow.
And so I was like, this guy's a dog. I mean, he's insane. Like to have that. And so I was like, he's special. Not only the talent, but like that extra will. He has that will that you just can't explain, and all the great ones have it.
Because I covered your playing career with the Blue Devils, coach, just for fun, looking forward to your generous time with us today. I looked up the leaders from your year 2000 Duke team in 5 statistical categories. So Shane Battier led y'all in scoring and block shots. Jay Williams led in assists and steals. Carlos Boozer led in rebounding. So those are 3 super productive guys with very different skill sets. And plus you're the ACC Player of the Year, contributing in all those categories. And this is how it usually works, right? Like a bunch of dudes with different skill sets leading these categories. This past season, Cooper came within 1 block shot of leading Duke in all 5 of those major statistical categories. And it's not like he didn't have a bunch of great teammates, obviously. 5 of them just signed pro basketball contracts. My question is, how did your coaching staff at Duke and your players maybe prepare for last season, knowing that there's kind of no blueprint for having a 6'9", 225-pound point forward, if you want to call him that?
Right. I think Coach Shire did an unbelievable job. He has to get a lot of credit, to be honest with you. And I don't think people are talking about that enough, because we have this talent in Cooper Flagg. It's a lot of pressure. Coach Shire being a young coach, our staff, like it has to work for Cooper Flagg. It has to work. And so we were really intentional in how we built around him. We knew his talent. We knew he could do everything on the basketball court. So on the offensive end, we wanted to surround him with shooting, right? So he can play in space. We knew he was a great passer as well. So, his biggest strength to me right now is getting to the basket. Okay, so now he needed a lob threat, right?
Yeah.
So they could play him on it. So if he was to drive and they plugged, he had shooters to keep the space. If he was to get by, now he has a lob threat. So what are you going to do? You're going to play man-man, come on at the rim, or you're going to let Cooper Flagg go by? And so John did a great job of just building the team around him, his talent, his skills. And so what you saw was a player who, as he got more comfortable with his teammates, I mean, he really started to take off. If you think about the first part of the year, he was playing really good. He was still 17.
Yeah.
That's amazing, right? But
Yep.
then once you start to learn his teammates, where his shots would come from, a lot of work through watching video, where guys would plug on him, where he can make those reads, you saw his game really take off. And I just want to credit Shire to surrounding him with the right team. Because if you would have put other ball dominant guys are with him, maybe he doesn't get to show. I mean, he's still Cooper Flagg, but the way we surrounded him, his talent was a huge reason why he had a big year.
Chris Carrawell is the associate head coach of the Duke Blue Devils, joining us here on the North Carolina Sports Network for our annual Piney Awards edition. Cooper Flagg was our athlete of the year against a lot of great competition, college and pro. I'm glad you brought up Cooper's age because, Coach, I do, as an older guy, have vivid memories of you as a player, including when you were the ACC Player of the Year. And part of that memory is that you struck me as a man out there on the court. If I remember correctly, you were about 22 years old at the time
Yes.
as a
Yes.
senior with the
Yep.
Blue Devils. And as you mentioned, Cooper doesn't even turn 18 until midway through his freshman season. And this is an era where, man, because of the transfer rules and the COVID extra year and name, image, likeness money, guys have stayed longer. So there's a bunch of 23-year-olds, 24-year-olds, even 25-year-olds were like part of Cooper's competition for National Player of the Year. How did his family and his coaches, including you guys at Duke, kind of accelerate his basketball journey so that he was really ready to play against those Team USA guys who he impressed even at 17, and then not only be good as a freshman, but he joined Kevin Durant, Anthony Davis, and Zion Williamson as the only freshman ever to win National Player of the Year. And he did it at an age, as you said, much younger than almost all National Players of the Year we've ever had.
That's a great point, Dave. I think with him was the basketball skill was one thing, but the summer work that he did in the weight room with Coach Stevens, Will Stevens, who's now retired, those guys did a great job with him in the weight room because it's physical. High school is high school. You're taller, you're bigger, you're just more talented than everyone you played. And the team he played on in high school was one of the greatest high school teams of all time. But now you got to make the adjustment. So we made the adjustment with him where he got stronger. And so he's able to play against the physicality that is college basketball. And then the one thing with him is two things. He unpacked his bags. And what I mean, well, what do you mean, Coach? What do you mean by unpacking your bags? A lot of these guys are in a rush to get to the NBA. They're just ready to, they never unpack their bags. Cooper was really like he unpacked his bags. He was involved every day. He was a student on campus. Like I said, he went to a party. He engaged with his teammates, but his fellow classmates. And so that was a huge part of his development as well. He unpacked his bags. And then another key component was that his parents were incredible. I mean, if you've seen Kelly Flagg
Yeah.
and Rav, they allowed us to coach him. They didn't make any excuses for him. As a matter of fact, I would talk to Kelly and Rav a couple times. They would tell me like, you need to get on him more. Like he needs to do more. Like if he was not holding his end to the bargain, they didn't make excuses for him. And so what you see is a kid who they let us coach him. He unpacked his bags and then he got stronger. And then with his immense talent, you see all those components come together. Now you get the best player in the country.